I think holding regular multi-agency meetings, sharing information on email, having regular phone conversations, just being in touch with people. Sometimes you might have a tiny piece of information that you think is not important, but it actually helps to build a bigger picture and like build a pattern of what is happening for that child.
Going to meetings and having conversations outside of the meetings in a less formal manner about the families really helps kind of build that relationship, and sharing kind of understanding from when you've had a visit or when you've had a meeting, and asking how do you think that went, how do you think the family felt at that time. I think it always is good to kind of keep the family alive inside the minds of the professionals in that way.
I think it's important to pick up the phone and have a conversation or meet in person, because there's certain things that don't come across in writing or in emails, but then also backing that up to make sure that you've very clearly communicated the actions that need to happen or any thoughts in writing as well.
Working successfully with different agencies may also look like having a feedback loop when it comes to sharing information. So if I share information with an agency, for example, for a school, it does really help for them to say, this is what I've done with the information that you shared, and vice versa. If they've given me information, it does really help if I say, this is what I've done with your information.
I think one of the key areas is to keep your systems up to date and make sure that you're building a chronology with all of the information that's coming in. I think a barrier to that is having enough time to do it, but it can be really frustrating if you're just handed a case or a referral and there's not the right phone number or the right email and you're struggling to get hold of different professionals.
I think ensuring that we don't fall into the trap of using acronyms all the time, especially as different agencies have their own acronyms. And I think that ensuring that information is clear, that everyone understands, particularly when it comes to formulating plans of what to do with a child or a family, it really helps when everyone knows what their role is, what the kind of timescale is. And it also really helps to thinking about plans, having kind of a central live document that is shared with the relevant professionals, so that if anybody leaves the network, it doesn't mean that the information that they've shared has disappeared.
I also think it's really important to work effectively with different services such as adult services or disability services if they're also working with the family or with the child. I think sometimes that can be missed with thinking about everything to do with the child if you're the child's worker, but actually it can be just as important to work with adult services and see how the parent is being supported, or a grandparent, whoever is the carer, just so that you're not missing anything in your approaches with that family.